So Beck, Emily and I talked a little bit about the attention economy in the modules for this course, but I'd love to hear you. I know you've thought a lot about the attention economy. Can you describe it in your words?
Yeah, well, with the caveat that my words are really informed by a lot of work from others, I think that one of the things that's tricky about the attention economy is that we know, we've come to a place where we kind of know about it. Like most people have an awareness that they're receiving ads on their social media. But I think the tricky thing is that it's not just about ads. And sometimes the conversation can stop there. So essentially, remember when, I don't know, you probably remember this, I certainly do, when you searched Google and you just got results. Well, like around 2000 or so, maybe 99, you started to get this thing that said, "Did you mean?" if you misspelled a word. And that was Google figuring out that what they had originally called digital exhaust, which was essentially just the searches that we had done in our personal histories, they would throw it away. And they realized that it actually had predictive power. And in this case, it could predict how people misspell words. And so what they started to do is they started to collect more and more of that digital exhaust, and they realized that it predicts some pretty interesting things. And then a couple of years later, Gmail came out. I remember when I got Gmail, it was invite only. I was using Hotmail.
Same.
Yeah, good, yeah. And so it was this decision we made. We kind of knew Google's going to now be looking at our email, but it was worth it because it was so much better than the other options. So when we started typing our emails, that just created a ton of digital exhaust. Things like, do we use exclamation points instead of periods? Do we use bullet points or numbers? These weird little things that algorithms could figure out predicted things about us that we didn't even understand how it worked. So basically, the more data that's collected about you, the higher the quality of prediction, the more certain that a company can be that they are going to guess right about you. And there are people that are selling things, and products are one of them, but there are people that are selling ads, and they're selling foot traffic, and they're selling partnerships that will want that certainty about you. So there's this whole marketplace that basically purchases, I want to know exactly when this person will do this thing. And that might be go to this place, it might be buy this thing. And the more data we have, the more we can charge for that prediction because the more certain we're right about it.
Fascinating. I really appreciate you revealing so many more layers. It's more than ads.
It's more than ads. It's about what we'll do now and soon and later. And another thing that I think is interesting about the attention economy is that it started with these digital products, but then cars and thermostats and doorbells and all these other products realized that they could carve off a slice of their product, put a microphone in it, put a camera in it, and then compete in this attention economy. And so a lot of the stuff in our lives, especially if it's connected to the internet or is recording us in some way, can sell that data in this marketplace. It sounds really creepy, and it kind of is, to be honest. I don't see a ton of upsides to the way that this works. Instagram is, the origins of Instagram is that it started in this classroom on Stanford's campus with these two undergrads who were just doing a design process. They had this paper prototype, and it was called Send the Sunshine. And it was about, you're here in Cambridge, I'm in Seattle. If it's sunny in Cambridge and it's raining in Seattle, you can send me a picture of the sun. And through participating in this attention economy, Instagram turned into a company that essentially doses likes. Like if you put a photo up and you had actually 10 likes, you might see that you only had 2. And then you would have a few more later in a burst so that you would be more likely to come back and look at it. That kind of etiquette, that kind of practice is created from this economy. It's like there's all these well-intentioned people that are trying to connect us and trying to do good things. And we know that they are in some cases doing that. But there's also this competing incentive that creates the pull to the screen, and creates a way that the company can be rewarded by continuing to have us looking at their stuff.
And it seems like understanding our very psychology is a huge part of it. Really understanding that we feel validated when we see those likes.
Yeah.
And we want to go back to Instagram if we only see a couple of likes and wonder, well, I thought my friend so-and-so would really appreciate this post, but they haven't liked it yet. Have they not been on the app? Let me go back and see.
That's right.
Do I feel validated and affirmed by what I posted?
Yeah, it's interesting. The teacher of that class, We're in the Sunshine, was created. His name is BJ Fogg, and he actually created. His dissertation was on charismatic computers, basically computers, and we really see this now with AI. But when a computer is nice to you, are you nice back to it? And that was a discovery in the 90s. Like we didn't know that was how we would interact with computers. And then over time, he developed this theory of how to manipulate human behavior. And so, essentially, B.J. Fogg's theory helps us to just get you right at that moment that you need something. So it motivates you, it makes things easier, and it triggers you or prompts you right at the right time. And so if you're not motivated to do something, it can make you afraid, or it can make you hopeful, or it can use these vulnerabilities around belonging or rejection, hope or fear, pain or pleasure. It uses these things to up the motivation. If you're already motivated, it can just make something easy to do or harder to do, adding friction so that it changes your behavior. And if you're already motivated and you're already able to do something, then it can trigger you just at the right time, and you're primed to do it. As you said, primed is a great word for that. So it's like we've learned so much about how to design technology to hit that spot right there when you receive the notification and you're like, a new picture of you has been added. Who's not going to go look and see what that's about? So it's just quite interesting. And the thing that I want to underscore is that with persuasive design, persuasive technology, all of this stuff, the attention economy, it's all created by people who are well-intentioned. Like BJ Fogg was wanting to use technology to help people quit smoking, just like we were talking about before. So it's not that the people who have created these things were nefarious necessarily, but there's also this very interesting thing. I don't even know if we could say this word on the video, but have you heard of this thing called enshittification?
No.
So enshittification is this thing that happens to companies. Cory Doctorow created the word a couple of years ago. In fact, it was like the word of the year in some circle. But it's basically what happens to companies in an attention economy. So you start a company just trying to like focus on the user and like make the experience really cool. But then in order to survive, the company needs to sell ads. And so then instead of focusing on the user, they focus on advertisers. But then in order to survive, they need to, what's it called when you're on a board, not a stakeholder, but a shareholder? They need to appeal to the shareholders. And so in the end, you've created a product that doesn't focus on users, doesn't focus on the businesses that support them, and only focuses on the shareholders. And then the product gets really crappy. And we've seen this over and over again. We're seeing it actively with some of the products out there today.
Your example reminds me of, didn't Google start out with this mantra, don't be evil?
Yes, they did. So I think that's what I really hope we get across, because I know that a lot of this stuff in our critically optimistic way can kind of seem critically pessimistic. Right. And what I kind of want to convey is that I feel, that this happens to companies so more so than the companies are kind of like, being the kind of like evil Mr. Burns character in the whole thing.
Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
Yes, yeah.
Cool. Beck, you mentioned at the beginning that some of the ideas you're sharing are really come from other places. Do you want to mention some places folks could go for further reading if they want to learn more about some of the theories and philosophies and
Yeah.
approaches you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, one book that I think, and there are a few, if you search YouTube for it, you can see a couple of documentaries about Shoshana Zuboff's work on surveillance capitalism. She's here at the Harvard Business School. And her book is really digestible. It's a big book, but it's super easy to read. And she just lays it all out. She had talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of technologists over several years and really uncovered how a lot of this stuff works. There's also a book called Stand Out of Our Light, and it's a tiny little book, but it's also super good read by James Williams, not to be confused by William James, who is part of the attention restoration theory stuff. But yeah, those are probably two of my favorite reads. One's kind of like really thick and academic, but still digestible, and the other is kind of thin, and you could probably read it in an afternoon and more focused on sort of like the philosophies behind all this stuff. Of course, there's the Social Dilemma. There's the Center for Humane Tech.
Right.
A lot of stuff going off. And Design It For Us is another platform that is really kind of, I think, creating some interesting content that really kind of meets this in a kind of more collective action way, which is kind of cool.